Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm recording a video on plan schedule management based on the exam content outline. We will be covering the entire schedule management, all the processes. The processes cover like 50% of the question PMP examination. In this video, we will understand the first part like the schedule management plan, and then we'll have consecutive videos coming up for the defined activities, sequence activities, then for making the schedule and then controlling the schedule. We'll have all of those covered in the series of videos which are going to come on schedule management. We'll cover topics based on the predictive life cycle, agile, hybrid, so that you go and pass your PMP examination. I'll be highlighting the terms that is like very complicated and most asked on PMP examination, so that you know you are well prepared with the basic concepts. Okay, in this video, we'll cover about the basics of schedule management, and I'll be helping you understand what schedule management with an example so that you can relate to it. Towards the end, I'll talk about plan schedule management, and then after that, we'll go to the next video. So hang on with me. I'll just share my screen and let's get started. So schedule management. So this schedule management is a part of your exam content outline. It is from the domain two, that is the processes, and task six, plan and manage schedule. So that is what is covered over here for a PMP examination. A lot of things will be memorized from this process over here. Let's try to understand all those things going forward. Okay. So topics covered in the series of videos on schedule management I've listed over here. We'll start with plan schedule management. Then after that, define activities, sequence activities, right? And then after that, we'll go to the estimate activity duration, develop schedule, control schedule, agile concepts, hybrid concepts, and then examples. We'll also go in detail working on these processes. We'll try to understand what are leads, lags, what is finish start, what is resource leveling, resource smoothing, and after that, crashing, fast tracking, critical path, and so many more things. What is float, different types of floats, what are mandatory dependencies, description dependencies, what are network diagrams, how do you solve the problem network diagrams. We'll do some whiteboarding on that. And then after that, we'll see what is the 3-point estimate, different type of estimation, what is the triangle distribution, what is beta distribution. We'll try to understand all of these in the series of videos on schedule management. So hang on with me. I'll be posting this video so that you get to learn a lot and pass your PMP examination in your first try. Let's go ahead. So PMP exam content outline calls it for the domain two, that's for processes, and task six covers all of these below topics. So the plan schedule management, define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity durations, develop schedule. So these five are a part of the planning process group, right? The output of plan schedule management is how to do the entire planning of the schedule, like how do you plan to do things. We'll talk about that in detail a little later. Then define activities, the biggest output is like you get the list of the activities from the work breakdown structure and you find the activity attributes. What are the attributes for a particular activity? That's the major output. And sequence activities help you understand what's first, second, third. So you get to know things. I'll be showing you a diagram over here with examples. You get to understand the entire schedule management process at a high level. And then after that, it talks of estimate activity duration, how much time it's going to take for every activity, right? That's estimation. And then finally, developing the schedule baseline, the critical path that comes up. After the most important part is the inspection that we want to check, controlling process group called the control schedule, right? So these are the major outputs we have from these processes. Let's go ahead and see what do we have now. So plan schedule management. Let's try to understand this. Okay, let's say we have some work, right? Now, when we want to do this work, it's going to take some time. So what is the source for your time? What is the source for a schedule? The source for a schedule is your work. Now, your work is based on the scope baseline. This we have got it from the previous process. That's work breakdown structure. We get the entire scope. We get the project scope statement, work breakdown structure, work breakdown dictionary. I'll put a video over here on work breakdown structure. You can understand what exactly is that, so you get to know about work breakdown structure. Okay. Now, the time needed to do the work is the actual schedule management. That's what is the main agenda of this video series on schedule management. Okay. Now, how do we do this? Let's go ahead with that. Okay. Let's take an example. Everybody wants to build a dream house. Let's consider they have a project of a dream house project, right? Now, if you want to build a house, what are the things that are needed, right? So let's try to understand that. So let's first thing is based on the scope of the work. Okay. So define activities from the work breakdown structure of the house construction. So a lot of things that will be needed to build the house, like we'll have to have a roof for the house needs walls, there's cementing on the walls, and then after that you have foundation, flooring, then planning, electrical work, pillars, woodwork, plumbing, and painting. So many activities are expected to be done when you want to build a house. It's very, very basic activities. Just put a list over here so that I can explain you the concept of schedule management. So these are the list of activities. That is what it says about different activities. From the scope, you've got the list of activities now, and everything will have their own attributes, right? What kind of you want, those are attributes. Walls, what kind of paints do you want? Cement, what kind of cement do you want? Flooring, what kind of flooring do you want? Everything has got different attributes. Okay, so that's available on the attributes part. Okay, so this is about the defined activities. Now let's try to understand what is there in the next thing. Sequence activities. Okay, now let us sequence these activities. Okay, so things will have to be done first, few things will have to be done early, few things that will be done late. Let's try to sequence these activities. Okay, so first thing is planning. We need to plan what you're doing. Then we have to build a foundation for the house, right? Then some pillars have to be erected. Then walls have to be built for those pillars. Then you put the roof. Few places I've seen without the walls, the pillars to put the roof. Depends. Okay. And then they want to work on the electrical work, the plumbing work, the frameworks. Then people want to cement the walls, right? Because there's a lot of digging and breaking for the electrical and plumbing work. You want to do that first and then the cementing walls. Few places also do this work activities in parallel, wherever there are it's no need for electrical and plumbing on the walls. There they start cementing the walls, right? Then there's a flooring, that is, and then woodwork, finally painting and interiors. So these things are the activities which you have been sequenced now. So that's about the sequencing of the activities. So you want to put all of these activities one after the other. Now, after you have sequenced the activity, all the next question we have. Next question is like, how much time will it take to do these things? When will I get my house ready? When will I do the housewarming? When I go and live in that house, right? So you need to have a plan. You need to have some estimates to get these things completed. Okay, so that becomes with estimate activity duration. So starting off with planning is going to take 2 weeks. Let's say all this is like examples over here. Foundation laying might take 3 weeks. Pillars are going to take say 2 weeks. Build the pillars, put the walls for 2 weeks with just bricks. And the roof would take 1 week. Electrical wiring would take 2 weeks. Plumbing frameworks takes 2 weeks. Cementing of the walls again going to take 2 weeks. Flooring 2 weeks. Woodwork 4 weeks. And then again 4 weeks for the final interiors, painting and interiors, all those things. So that's the rough estimations we have initially when we want to build this project. So this gives an idea now. Okay, fine. So much of time is needed. What is the total duration it's going to take to close all this? If you just add up all these numbers of weeks, you're going to get like 26 weeks. Now, is this the total duration of the project? You have to think. Can something be done in parallel? Will there be some other issues and risk or constraints that you foresee? Something might happen, right? So as project managers, we have to plan about all of these things, right? So let's go to the next slide. So when developing the schedule, so when duration is 26, if the activities are done one after the other, let's say first I do planning, foundation, pillars, walls, roof, one after the other is going to take so many days. Okay, so it's like 26 weeks. Now, is that actual duration? No. So you'll have to take in consideration if you're building a house, what are the festival holidays? Most of the time, the workers go for like 2 week off during festival. If you're building a house in the month of October, for sure for Deepavali, people are going to take like 2 weeks off. They don't want to turn down for two weeks, right? So you have to take that also in consideration, product manager. Then you have to think about the climate and buffer, the external factors, right? So environmental factors that impact, right? If it's a rainy season, then you'll have to put some buffers, right? If you're doing outside cementing and roofing and all, then you have to think when exactly the best time to do these things. You don't want to do a lot of rework and waste a lot of money. Then procurement buffer, you have to procure things like how soon you should begin or when will something come late, right? So all these things you have to think, and then you have to come with a duration. So that gives the total duration. So whichever project you guys are working in organization now, IT projects or non-IT projects, you have to think through all of these things and then put the total duration. Okay. Now, can the duration expand or shrink? Let's see that in the next slide. So this is how you develop the schedule. Now, to build the schedule, we'll do something called as the precedence diagram network, right? We'll put the dependencies. We'll see if the schedule can be shrinked or expanded. We'll try to find the critical path, right? Now, let's try to see all of that is a part of the developed schedule. So all these are just overall high level details I'm giving you. We'll go in detail on all the processes in throughout the video series. But in this video, just see the develop schedule now. So I have now made a network diagram out of the activities we have. So planning, foundation, then pillars, you have got walls, right? And then let me take an highlighter and annotate things for us over here. Okay. Then after that, we have got walls over here, and walls is 2 weeks, roof is like 1 week, and then after that, again, electrical wiring is 2 weeks. Now you see here, these things are all done one after the other, right? This comes of the on the concept of like mandatory dependencies. We'll learn about that. Okay. Then after that, now these three things can be done in parallel, right? So these three things can be done in parallel. There's another concept called as fast tracking. We're trying to fast track things over here, right? Doing things in parallel. Okay. Then after that, you see these things are done in parallel, and then electrical wiring, plumbing work, cement is done. If these two things are done, the flooring will start. Flooring cannot start before those two are completed. Again, so these two become the mandatory dependencies. Okay. And then after that, you've got cementing the wall, then you've got the woodwork. Once the flooring and woodwork is completed, then you start with the painting and interior work. Okay, so that's the entire network diagram we have. Now let's try to add up. So initially what we had with us was the number of the number of days that we had was correct. So that was like 26, right? Correct. So initially we had like 26 weeks. 26 weeks we had, and now we are going to let's say try to add. Okay, 2 plus 3 5 plus 2 7 7 plus 2 9 9 plus 1 10 10 weeks, and then after that 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 4. So this path comes like 18 days. Okay, so this is like 18 days. Okay, now how about this 10 plus 2 12 plus 4 16 16 plus 4 comes like 20 weeks. So this is coming to like 20 weeks. Okay, and how about the mid path? 10 plus 2 12 12 plus 2 14 14 plus 4 18. So we have got like 18 20, right? So these are the number of weeks we have. So you see the longest path we have, is this path, right? It's going to take like 20 weeks. Okay, that's going to take like 20 weeks for us. So what is this path? This path is your critical path. Okay, so that's the actual duration. So the project needs minimum 20 weeks to be done, but we are not going to tell the customer just 20 weeks, right? Then we are going to add the other things from the previous slide which we had, right? We are going to take into consideration the other issues that could pop up, right? We'll take up the festival holidays. Okay, so duration in weeks is equal to now like 26 weeks. Now that becomes 20 weeks, because the critical path is like the longest path is 20 weeks. 20 weeks plus festival holidays plus climate buffer could be a couple of weeks, procurement buffer could be a couple of weeks, and then finally you could go and say this is the total duration of the project. So that is how you develop the schedule. Okay, we'll talk about all of these in detail about the dependencies, fast tracking, crashing, and then resource leveling, smoothing, and then after that leads, lags, and then estimating, 3-point estimate, for then beta estimates, right? Rough water magnet estimating. All of these float, free float, total float, all of this will cover in this series of videos. For now, just understand this how we develop this schedule. Okay, so that's the final schedule that comes in for the project. Okay. Now, let's try to understand planning schedule management. So, plan schedule management is a thing. So, schedule management plan is output of this particular process. So, what do we get from here? So, in this process, we are trying to plan how you will plan, manage, and control the project to the baseline of the schedule. If it's like 26 weeks, and if you are in a project like, let's say for the previous slide, let's say you have got this project to be done in, let's say, 26 weeks. Okay, now if you are got a fixed price project, you always want to do it in like 20 weeks and try to make the money of those 6 weeks as a margin. And if you're a time and material product, right, you want to work on all the 26 weeks and build the customer for all the 26 weeks, right? Again, customers are going to check with you every week. It's just not that you can go and say, okay, we will try to drag the work, right? So that's important. Now, so we are going to talk about all of these things now in the plan and schedule management. How I'll plan, manage, control the project to baseline. So baseline could be like 26 weeks if you're on a 26 weeks. How you'll take care of the variances. Let's say, for example, there was an issue. There was a climate buffer issue. You had planned for like 2 weeks, and you had rains for a month. Okay, now your project is delayed by say 2 more weeks. Now, how do you take care of this? Is it already a buffer there for you to take care of that? Is that going to help you, or will you add more resources? Will you do some crashing and try to meet that timeline? Because there could be some penalty clause with a fixed price project. So these things you'll think through it, and you'll have all this thing through in the plan itself. Then measuring is the process, the key to managing schedule. So you've got like a schedule performance index. So EV by PV, you'll have got all those things to be taken care. Now, planning involves what? It defines the measure of performances. What is the measure of performance? You're going to define that. You'll gather data, you'll check variances, and take corrective and preventive action. What will be the corrective and preventive action in case there are some issues? So these are the things you're going to plan in for the schedule management. Okay. So schedule management, we'll talk about how we'll estimate in hours, days, weeks, story points. We'll talk about that. And then after that, you're seeing here in front of you, then you have, let me take an operator. Then how we'll arrive at the schedule baseline. I just showed you the critical path plus extra thing you need to add that. How we'll measure the performances. We'll decide that what is the variance threshold, right? When will you go and use the contingencies? What is the variance threshold you have when you'll fall back for things, right? You'll decide that. How will you manage the schedule variance? Should the variance be acted upon, or we just ignore it or accept it? Change control process for the schedule. We'll talk about these things, and then different types of reports, formats, and frequencies of reports to update in the schedule management plan. Then, if you're working on agile releases, then release length of the sprints for the adaptive life cycles. So these are the things which will be covering in the schedule management plan. So that's at a high level about what exactly is managed schedule. And then after that, in detail, we looked into the schedule management plan. We also looked at about define activities, sequence activities, and then after that we put away schedule management, develop the schedule and saw this. We'll see in detail more in the next video. In the next video, I'll be talking to you in detail about the define activities and sequence activities. Thank you for watching my video. This is Arham Faraaz. Please do like, subscribe, share, and comment if you like this video and if you need more videos. I wish you all the best for your PMP examination. Let's go ahead and pass the examination. Bye-bye.